Welcome. Welcome to Nexans Capital Market Day. We are here to introduce our long-term ambition, our purpose, and our medium-term strategy. I will describe where we stand in the construction of the new Nexans project with regards to what I introduced to you in July 2018. I was looking for this day since end 2018. A day where we can embark you into our conviction that this is the time of change. But let's start with this quick video. As you can see, the amplification of risk in the world will amplify the demand on this conviction that we need to change because all kinds of risks are rising. Sanitary, global warming, power outage, fires. Because those risks will require different models and new solutions. Because the world will become electric much faster than planned. This is the reason why this is the time of change. As I became CEO in July 2018, you all remember the roadmap I presented to you. When we look back, what we've done so far to build this new Nexans with the team is just amazing. We have modernized the company. We have strengthened our foundation on our innovation. We have developed our own recipe to transform the company under the program named Shift. We turned COVID from adversity to opportunity to reset the generation of free cash flow. And we are moving from a pure volume player to a value player. We have to give this tribute to all the team in Nexans, everywhere in the world, that in spite of challenges and countries' lockdown in 2020, they have made that year a tipping point for the company. Nexans has always been part of the history of electricity. From its discovery by Edison, Benjamin Franklin, to the future electrified world, Nexans is at the continuous part of this living history. For over a century, Nexans has played a crucial role in the world electrification, and it will continue. Because electrification is our DNA. And now it's time really to amplify our role by becoming a pure electrification player. The growth momentum in that sector is just exponential. And as you will discover today, we are the best positioned to take the lead in that market. Why are we becoming a pure electrification player? Because Nexans' purpose is to electrify the future. The electrification of the planet is key to a sustainable, balanced growth. And above all, equitable growth that benefit all humanity, ignoring the rich and the poor, the North and the South division. All the megatrends converge to the same conclusion. Electrification of the planet is the main energy at stake in the coming decades. Electrification of the planet requires more and more renewable energies. Electrification will require as well a complete electrical grid modernization and protection. From hospital to school to smart cities, it will be both difficult and vital to manage the risk of power access. Electrifying the world poses a considerable technological challenge, like the issue of electricity storage, that will become in the near future more and more crucial. Knowing that 100% of the world population must have access to electricity by 2030 describe quite well how electrification will play a crucial role for the world. A new raison d'être for Nexans. A new raison d'être set our new values. We are pioneers of energy transition. We dedicate ourselves to the highest standard of performance. And we stand united to achieve this ambitious goal to electrify the future. No progress can be done unless it fights climate change. Everything is linked because the climate is changing. The thermofrost is melting. The world destroys every day biodiversity and forest. All this combined increase the number of new viruses, such as COVID-19. To face this new threat, I believe governmental action alone are not enough. The most efficient level is at corporate level. If and only if designing their models, their habits, their means and projects, global companies are pushing the climate change issue at the forefront of their top priorities. In parallel, we need to find between us, customers and suppliers, new ways to collaborate, hands to hands. Then we can all together have an impact on carbon emission. There is no global harmonized regulation on that question, just agreements when they are respected. In other words, efficiency is in our hands as global companies. We care for the planet's sustainability. We care for our children and their future. And we care for resource scarcity. As already announced, Nexans will become carbon neutral by 2030. But believe me, we will accelerate those efforts in the coming 4 years, thanks to a new company performance model that we call E3. Becoming a pure electrification player in the coming 4 years requires a major shift to simplify our business, to amplify our impact. To do so, we need to make the company more readable for our stakeholders. We need to make the company more focused to amplify its actions. We need to make the company leaner and more agile to answer changes faster. We need to make the company innovative and focus on one ecosystem, one main problem to answer the new customer demand. We will be able to make this turn by simplifying our portfolio. Nexans will reset its portfolio to only serve and focus on strategic customers in order to converge all our solutions, time and effort and investment on this electrification ecosystem. All our solutions, these times, those efforts will converge on this new value chain, from the production of renewable energy to the transmission of this energy to distribution up to the usage of this energy. This is where, in that chain, that Nexans will amplify its role. In one-page summary, after this amazing successful transformation, in less than 24 months, because of business evolutions and customer demand migration, it's time. It's time to change. It's time to amplify our role from our purpose, electrify the future, to our values, our new ambition. The new Nexans strategy is there to simplify its business portfolio, to amplify its impact, supported by innovative solutions to serve the entire market of electrification. But we won't do it at any cost. As I told you, Nexans will be carbon neutral by 2030. Moreover, we will develop in coming years, in addition to that objective, new partnerships to amplify our role, as we need big firms, important companies to join force with us on what we call a mission-based ecosystem around this electrification market. The world needs a broader group of effort, that companies to companies align business interests and as well societal needs. Let me describe now what we mean by electrification. From generation of energy, offshore, wind turbines, solar power plant, hydropower, nuclear, to the transmission of that energy through countries' interconnection, the distribution that requires infrastructure modernization to sustain future demand of electricity, and finally, at the end of the chain, the usage, which are everywhere. Everywhere there is a human activity, either construction or powering data centers, infrastructures, hospitals, industrial activities, or commercial businesses. The COVID crisis reinforced my personal conviction that we need to reset the way we operate the company. I did interview a lot of CEOs and partners over the last 18 months to understand how to better operate a company on the 3 dimensions: financial dimension, environmental dimension, and as well social dimension. Hired many fantastic stories and examples. And in Nexans, we have decided to operate a bit differently on these 3 angles than what we were doing before. Now we will operate in a very granular way. We know that more volume doesn't mean more profit. But we know that more volume requires more resources, either natural resources or human resources. We know that more volume may generate as well more stress on productivity. We know that more volume may generate as well higher complexity to handle. And at the end, more volume of everything generates cost inflation and cash deterioration. This is why we are launching a disruptive company performance model that we call the E3. Every quarter, our activities, unit per unit, everywhere in the world, are challenged through this innovative model to find the right balance of performance between the 3 core elements that are the economics, the environment, and the engagement, that we will follow through the 3 following KPIs. The first one is the capital employed, the return on capital employed. The second is the return on carbon employed. And the third is the return on competence engaged. Each unit, in order to have the license to operate, to cap their ambition, they will have to go through this unique, virtuous, and holistic performance model. Profit, yes, of course, but not at the detriment of the planet, or not at the detriment of people engagement. I commit that we will bring you results every year through that unique model. I will ask external experts to challenge it, to improve it, to share it, because I am convinced that we have found something quite unique that solves many paradoxes. Winds of change. As I told you, there is an inherent silent killer that companies never announce in their result, that always deteriorate company productivity or profit every day. What is this silent killer? This is what I call complexity. Of course, we can fight against it by constantly reducing cost, but it may at the end jeopardize, yes, clearly jeopardize the company long-term development. This is why this strategy that we will show you comes into force. The time when you need to make decisions on what will be the next battlefield of the company. To become a pure electrification player, we need to simplify our business. We need to move from 8 microsectors covered, representing 34 subsectors, on 30 different market drivers. So we need to move from 8 microsectors to 4, from 34 subsectors to 12, with this unique electrification ecosystem, from production of energy to transmission to distribution up to the usage of this energy. And because on the convergence of the world electrification and the growing demand it will require on raw material, specifically copper or aluminium. In addition to this simplification, Nexans will enhance its autonomy through metallurgy, as we are the only player in the world to be still vertically integrated from copper rods to cables. You know, when the time of copper shortage may come, the recycling power of Nexans will be fundamental for the circular economy, but as well will be fundamental to avoid supply chain disruption, like some of our competitors face during COVID crisis. In the coming hours, we will guide you in our own strategic thinking process. Why change? What do we need concretely to change? Importantly, how to change? And what is our financial commitment for the first chapter of our ambition from now to 2024? I think I don't need to convince you. I don't need to convince you on the exponential growth opportunity of the world electrification. We want the world to be more digital. Great, great, but you need more power. We do not want countries to be world's polluter. Fantastic. But we need to invest in sustainable energy. We want to have electrical cars. Great. But we need to reinforce the energy grid. We want to stop having a fire in building every 2 minutes in the world. Sure. But we need to renovate the entire electrical architecture with safer product. All these megatrends are supporting our conviction that electricity landscape is only at the beginning of a new revolution. This conviction is supported by all recent announcements from US to Europe, to China. Trillions of dollars, euros, RMB will be invested massively to electrify the world. Because this is the only way. Yes, this is the only way for carbon neutrality. This is the only way for digitalization. This is the only way to modernize electricity landscape. And this is the only way for electricity system decentralization. You know, we always talk a lot about megatrends. But let me reinforce what I call the mega risk. Yes, mega risk amplification. And it's obvious that COVID-19 is a wake-up call for the entire world. The fight for global warming requires massive investment for the Green New Deal, like the one announced in Europe, in US, and in China. To avoid the risk of power outage, blackout in the cities, all countries, utilities are accelerating grid modernization and building energy highway transmission between countries. in order to exchange green energy. Last but not least, electrical safety is a major concern, specifically for buildings built in the 70s or 80s, full of plastic PVC cables that are propagating fire on toxic smokes. It requires major renovation investment. If I go to the customer demand migration, our sector cannot avoid it. You know, this customer demand migration, like it happens in the automotive sector, where equipment manufacturers 10 years ago were selling pieces and components, and now they are selling, providing full and turnkey solutions. Same in the telecom world or consumer electronics. All companies one day had to reinvent themselves in order not to disappear. We take the year of 2020 once again to conduct hundreds of interviews. Confirming what? Confirming that this is now the time of the cable and wire sectors to evolve. Because our customers are moving up into the value chain. And they need suppliers to follow them by providing not just cable or accessories, but smart, interconnected solutions, systems, and subsystems. One customer told me recently, I have to share that, Chris, if you don't want Nexans to become the Kodak of the industry, you better to move your company right now. Imagine that, the Kodak of the industry. And he told me, you need to accelerate this shift into interconnected solutions. Forget to sell just more tons of cables or more kilometers of cable in all sectors of the world. We need you, Nexans, to solve our constraints, our problems. And we need you to better understand our future needs. Very strong statement, but we are working on it. We are working on it in parallel to our transformation since the last 2 years. And we will give you access to some customers' interviews, abstracts, for each electrification subsectors. I don't want to be too arrogant on this topic because we are only at the beginning. But believe me, Nexans is on the right path. So why this customer told me that if we do not move the company, specifically in the wire and cable industry, it may disappear, or at least be disintermediate. Simply because we are today just satisfying their very, very, very basic needs, not the complex one. Customer today wants 1 or 2 innovative products every semester. Believe me, a generalist has not the firepower to innovate at the same speed to all subsectors it covers. Customer wants new system solution with digitalization. A generalist focuses on having a very, very large product component portfolio, but is lacking resources to focus on the system, lacking resources to focus on digital offers. Now, each individual sectors become increasingly complex to understand and require specific know-how which are missing or will miss soon to a generalist. And when you cover X sector, 34 subsectors, you are spreading investment every year. And one day you will wake up 10 years later where you will have jeopardized the development of some sectors. You will have jeopardized their future competitiveness. A generalist do not have the means, cannot have the arrogance neither, that we can follow all customer demand migration on all fronts at the same time with the same impact and with the same quality. To follow customer demand migration, first we need to have a deeper understanding of final markets evolution. We need as well to bring all our resources to build high added value solution. And we need to scale. Yes, we need to scale beyond pure cable to build new interconnected solution with the support of partners' networks. This is why we will move from a pure volume growth in multiple sectors to a value scale focused growth in order to amplify our impact. It's always the habit to position a company, I know that, into a box. Yes. What is the box of Nexans? You will ask me. If Nexans is not anymore a generalist, means the company is a specialist? Let me say that the answer is different. Because in our markets, we will become the only company focused on one unique ecosystem, which is the biggest market demand of all this sector, on interacting in multi-regions with a very strong simplification of product range and as well industrial assets, and keeping metallurgy as a vertical integration. But last but not least, 100% of our R&D, sales, marketing, top management will focus on electrification only. Following those statements, we cannot be the best owner for some sectors. This is why we are amplifying our investment firepower into electrification. More than 200 million of additional capex will be injected in high voltage businesses. 200 million additional capex to support wind offshore development everywhere in the world, and as well HVDC transmission demand in US or in Europe. 100% of our R&D and services team will focus on electrification demand. And as you will see, the focus on high voltage, utilities, construction sectors that are the key components of this electrification ecosystem will simplify our way to operate the company. We will, of course, operate in all the main regions of the world to support the customer everywhere they need us. It's not just an additional equity story. I hope you understand that. We are re-engineering the complete model to become the electrification pure player, to surf on this wave of new electricity revolution that will be a fantastic tailwind for the company. In parallel, we are building an ecosystem of strategic partners that will help us to scale faster. In this chapter, let me guide you on how, yes, the how we will simplify our business, on how we will amplify our impact. Electrification today in Nexans represent in 2020 already 55% of our sales, whereas industry sectors and harnesses and telecom respectively 17% and 7%. Industry and telecom are fantastic business, of course, with great potential as well, as you know. But they require massive investment to keep following the demand, and as well to build a new economic model around solutions like the one we will do on electrification. That's the reason we believe that we will not be the best owner anymore for those fantastic sectors. We are not the best owner for their future development. We will take the next years to come the right partners, the right owner that will support their development, that will scale them, that will modernize their assets, that will just reproduce what we will do ourselves into electrification in terms of innovation on M&A consolidation on those sectors that are industry and telecom. You know, the three main reasons to simplify our business and to focus on electrification are pretty obvious. Number one, already today, electrification markets represent more than 65% of world cable demand. The growth per annum for electrification is about 4.3% for the next 10 years, higher than all the others. Number three, as you can see, the markets are still very fragmented and give us room. It gives us room for M&A consolidation. Now, take the time to reflect how we will amplify our impact. You will see from everything we have said since 2 years on everything we are doing as a logic, a rational, a robust storyline that support it. We have not wake up 2 months ago, say, hey, let's go into electrification. No, not at all. Everything has been elaborate since 2018. But of course, we have to respect a specific agenda on a specific sequence in order to gain back all stakeholder credibility, but as well to forge our own conviction that this is the way. I think we've made a pretty good job. We make a pretty good job, and it's clear that in the last 2 years, we gained back all the main stakeholders' credibility. The company has been re-rated. The branding of the company has been modernized and become now more visible. And more importantly, customers are more and more positively vocal on our new way of doing. The road is still long, but we have made significant progress. Once again, everything is a question of sequence. The last 2 years, we had to focus on our own transformation across all activities, launching important cost reduction initiative, deploying shift program to reduce complexity, and as well turning around value burners activities. Last but not least, improving our cash conversion to build this firepower for this new chapter to come. Now we will amplify. Yes, we will amplify our electrification value growth through 3 main pillars. The first one is we will rotate company activities through divestment on one hand and acquisition in other hands, in order to scale our leadership positioning on electrification. Shift Prime, a brand new enhanced process and methodology to increase value through innovation. But as well, third pillar, new innovation, ecosystem partnership that we just signed and will carry on to sign in the future to accelerate our unique value proposition. Although we will have to scale through acquisition, rotate our business portfolio, I am convinced that we still have a lot to improve in our today's portfolio. Let's have a look. First of all, as you can see, we are evolving our financial matrix. But you know, this is where we have positioned in 2018 all our activities. But now, it's time to raise the bar for this new sequence of 2022 to 2024. You can see that we keep the EBITDA percentage criteria, but we have replaced the working capital ratio by the cash conversion ratio in order to take into account the CapEx that we will have to inject in some unit. Finally, we are creating a new category. You can see on the top corner, green part, that we call innovation driver. In that part, you will find units that are delivering an EBITDA above 10% and a cash conversion ratio above 70%. 7-0. But last but not least, those units, beyond pure financial result, must demonstrate a strong innovation delivery process. Like you may find in other capital goods companies. I will not bring you the name, you know them by heart. Those companies that are delivering significant value thanks to every quarter, every semester, constant innovation. I know, you will tell me, it's nice on paper, Chris, but concretely, how will you do it? What is the method behind? What is the how-to? As we said in the last months and years, we have our own recipe of success. Our own recipe supported by strong analytics and as well big data management. But more importantly, this recipe follows a logical sequence. When an activity is burning cash, I'm not a magician. They are losing money. First priority is not growth. No, it cannot be growth generation. The first priority is fixing the problem. Fixing the problem through restructuration and lean management methods. Once you have done it, here shift transformation model is coming into force. through 20 levers, highly analytical, in order to move an activity which is in difficulties to profit drivers, and as well cash contributors. Today, after 2 years, many of our units are on the way to this category profit driver. Not all, but a majority. This is why of Shift Prime. Shift Prime is coming into the loop. We are building now this third category, as you can see before, innovative drivers, to explain our managers that our value creation journey is not over. We still have a lot to improve. You know, it's not only a pure financial demonstration. We need to become innovative, much more innovative than before. We need to become disruptive to satisfy new customer demands while improving our financial metrics. You can see on the slide our 2024 ambition in terms of categories evolution per percentage of revenue. I have Vincent Dessalles a bit later in the presentation to color a bit more this part in his section. But you can notice that we have units today, in 2021, already in this innovative driver box. Now, let me color now the 3 new pillars. Those 3 new pillars that will guide our performance from 2022 to 2024. Once again, what is Shift Prime? It's a new methodology, a new process designed by Nexans to make things happen, to shift company performance. Shift Prime is, in a nutshell, is a method to convert innovation into free cash flow. We have done recently a lot of benchmark of capital goods companies that are generating this great value. We learn a lot. You know, we have built this recipe of success to really go beyond pure transformation and really to scale innovation in order to increase the value generation for customers on our gross margin perspective by minimum 200 basis points. So I will not go into too much detail, but we are following 5 main levers, from digital supply chain implementation, end-to-end supply chain with customer, to brand prime, to bundle of subsystems offers, smart innovation with the integration of sensors and Internet of Things into our product and into our systems. Let me conclude my part on M&A, on how we will amplify our role into electrification market by making acquisition by 2024. There will be 2 types of M&A: consolidation and bolt-on innovation. In regards to our competition, we have screened in the last 12 months around 130 candidates that are playing a strong role into electrification market. We have shortlisted 20 of them, 20 candidates right now, to ensure that they are the best fit with our new ambition. We will engage as well a similar screening for the bolt-on acquisition to support our new services and solution model, like our design and engineering services, but as well data collection, data exploitation, and as well our digitalization offer.